Hi guys, to open the series of Ask RCIC today, we welcome you to Canada Admission Hub's YouTube channel. Ask RCIC is a series of 4 episodes with 4 different topics, including information and advice from RCIC about visa status and admission in Canada. We have 4 episodes in total. Topic for each episode are from visitor to student in Canada. Episode 2 will be about reason why your student visa study permit application got rejected. Episode 3 will be about study permit troubleshooting, and episode 4 will be about get into Canada college without IELTS. Having with us today on episode 1 from visitor to student in Canada is RCIC Dylan, an experienced regulated Canadian immigration consultant at Admission Hub. Dylan has years of experience with study permit application in Canada, and we are happy to have you here today. Dylan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, as for today's topic, there are many questions asked. The most asked question is obviously, can I study in Canada with a visitor visa?
The answer, it depends. But if you come to Canada as a visitor visa and you're planning to study a program, of course, that's less than 6 months, then the answer is yes. So initially, when you enter Canada, you have a 6-month period that you can stay. Okay, normally if the officer grants you a 6-month stay, then during this period, yes, you can study the program that's less than 6 months.
Cool. So I heard the term study permit. Can you explain the difference between a study permit and a student visa?
Yeah, a lot of people, they get confused between study permit and student visa. So student visa technically is an entry visa. That being said, it allows you to enter Canada. Okay, study permits is permits that authorize you to stay longer than 6 months and authorize you to studies and work at the same time, right? So as international students, they need to have a student visa so they can enter Canada, and study permits so they can stay more than 6 months and authorized to study and work. Okay, for students that are coming from an ETA country such as Mexico, Chile, Taiwan, Korea, Singapore, Japan, they do not need visa because they have ETA.
Thank you very much. That's very detailed, and I'm sure that everyone appreciates your answer. So since today's topic is for people who wants to become student as a visitor, so I would like to ask you, how do they know if they are eligible to stay in Canada and apply for a study permit?
Yeah. So normally international students, or you're the visitors, okay, you're in Canada and you want to apply for study permits, then we will be looking at when was your last entry to Canada. Okay, we will be looking at which province that you're trying to stay in Canada, and if you have taken the prerequisite course or not, and if you have a spouse in Canada or not. These are all the criteria that we will be looking at before we can determine the chances of applying the permit inside Canada, or you need to apply from outside Canada. So the rule of thumb is contact our office. We will look at your profile to let you know if you're eligible or not.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So I do know that it's very, I noticed that answer actually a little overall for everyone to hear. And can you tell more about like who can apply for the study permit from inside Canada?
Sure. So specifically for inside Canada, inland applications, IRCC lists out a very clear instruction online. It says you need to be in the certain situations. For example, you're the minor child, you're studying in high school or in middle school, you're the exchange students, or you're a spouse or family member that already have a Canadian student visa or study permits, right? Or, which is the most commonly category that we help our clients achieve their study permits, which is a student who has completed a short-term course that is a prerequisite course to enter the main program, which is a college program. Normally, that will be the English course or biology course, those kind of courses that will be considered as a prerequisites. So if you've complete these prerequisite courses, short-term course, then you will be eligible to apply study permits inside Canada.
Awesome. I think after this question, a lot of people just realize that, oh my God, I'm eligible to apply for study permit inside Canada, right?
Mhm.
I mean, might be a little bit silly question, but I know for the fact that in other countries, let's say US or UK, visitors usually have to leave the country to apply for a study permit. So do visitors need to leave Canada to apply for a study permit?
Yeah, in most cases, if you're qualified to apply for the permit inside Canada, you don't have to leave the country. The study permit will be mailed to our office in downtown Toronto or our Vancouver office.
Oh wow, that's very cool. Let's say in a worst case scenario, what if the visitor did not fall under any of the categories that you just stated above? Would they still be able to apply for a study permit without having to
It's
leave?
possible, yeah, but it's going to be on case by case basis, okay? Because inland application is one of the easiest application center that we've seen compared to any visa office around the world, right? But if you're going to send your application outside of country, right, and then you will need to activate your study permits at any Canadian borders to receive the study permits at the border.
Right. Thank you. So, what is the minimum length of a tourist visa required to apply for a study permit in Canada?
So if you want to apply study permit inside Canada, you need to make sure you maintain your legal status, meaning that when we submit your study permit application to IRCC, you need to have a valid status or you have submitted an extension status.
Right.
Yeah.
So I understand that, or I mean, the most tricky things is that I think that people worry about the most is what if their visitor visa expired or only valid for a short amount of time? Let's say they came to Canada with 6 month visitor visas, but then they spend 2 months, 3 months to hang around, to travel, and then they decided to study in Canada, right? And then so they only have less than 3 months to stay. Are they able to apply for a study permit?
It's still possible. So in that case, our school admission team will get involved, okay, and then they will help the client to look for a college that it's a lower level English that requires short-term, English prerequisite course. But in that case, so it will be case by case, depends where you live, what school that you're going to. Right, but most of the cases that what we're seeing is students they will need to study minimum 2 to 3 months prerequisites while they're inside Canada. If they're not able to do that, then they will have to exit the country and re-enter to reset their status and to complete the prerequisite course in order to be eligible to apply for the permit inside Canada.
Right. So after all of that steps, what happened next if visitors are eligible to apply for
Yeah,
this?
so if they are able to apply for the permit inside Canada, our team will help them to receive those letters, and then we can submit the application, the inland application process. So upon approval, they can come to our office to pick out their study permits without leaving the country.
That sounds awesome. So let's say if their visitor visa expired while processing the application for a study permit, what should they do?
So we will make sure that we submit your visitor status,
Mhm.
okay, before the status expired. Okay, if you have submitted your status extensions while you're waiting for your status, then it's fine. We call that implied status. Okay, but in most cases, we will submit the extension before we submit the student visa applications.
Cool. That sounds awesome. So just one more question before we go to the last one is that what is the total amount of time when they start proceed the application until they get the study permit?
Yeah, so for student visa application or study permit application inside Canada, right now what we're seeing it's around between 4 weeks to 10 weeks. Okay, some clients we have seen that they got it within 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It depends on the profile, right? We've seen younger clients they get approval a lot faster because they don't have to do the further assessment, further background check. But for a client, they're from countries that are more sensitive, to the Canadian government, or the government, they think that their age or education background, they want to do further assessments, then it might take about, a bit longer than younger applicants.
Right. Well, thank you for all the valuable information. So last question for today is, what's your advice to visitors who want to become a student in Canada?
Yeah, so if you have a Canadian visitor visa, okay, if you're currently outside Canada, if you're planning to do this route, contact our office before you land in Canada so you get all the information, all the knowledge, so once you land in Canada, you can start the process. Okay, but if you're currently inside Canada, I will suggest you to contact our office as soon as possible as well, because like you mentioned, some cases, if they already spend a lot of their time in Canada doing multiple extensions, they might have challenge, applying for study permit inside Canada. So we will need to make sure that they can apply the study permit with the best profile possible.
Right. Well, that's a lot of information, and I think this is such a valuable information that you gave us. So thank you, Dylan, once again for spending your time today to answer all the questions that we have on this topic. If you have more questions, audience, please feel free to ask in the comment section below. And as RCIC's second episode, we'll talk about reason why your student visa study permit application got rejected. If you like this video and want more information on Canadian visas and application admission in Canada, give us a like and subscribe to our channel. Don't miss a beat, and we will see you next time. Again, Dylan, thank you so much.
No problem. My pleasure.
Have a great day. Thank you.